Welcome to the channel, you who are passionate about inspiring and captivating stories, just like us. Subscribe, it would be our pleasure. Here is another exciting story for you. Let us know where you're watching from. In the bustling streets of Abidjan, amidst the honking cars and the lively market crowds, Damien and Léa were a couple admired by all. Married for 5 years, they had built their lives with patience and determination. Damien, an engineer in a telecommunications company, was a pragmatic, calm, and protective man. Léa, on the other hand, was a brilliant woman with unwavering ambition. Her position in a major bank in the city ensured a promising career, and she dreamed of going even further. But life had given them an even greater blessing. A daughter, a little marvel named Naïa. Her arrival was a gift, a pure joy that brightened their home. Léa, who had always prioritized her career, discovered to her surprise the profound love of motherhood. She spent 6 months caring for her baby, cherishing every moment and every smile. Yet, despite this happiness, a part of her still longed to resume her ascent. Her office, the adrenaline of financial transactions and banking strategies called to her, and she was not the type to let a pause slow her momentum. One evening, while Naïa was sleeping peacefully in her crib, Léa sat beside Damien, her eyes filled with contemplation. She knew this conversation would not be easy, but she had to speak her mind. "Damien, I want to go back to work." Her voice was calm but firm. Damien slowly lowered his book, sensing that this was an important discussion. He looked at his wife, trying to understand what was driving her to make such a decision. "Are you sure? Naïa is still so young. She needs her mother." Léa took a deep breath before responding. "I know, but I feel the need to rediscover myself. I love our daughter with all my heart, but I don't want to lose myself in the process." Damien furrowed his brow. "Being a mother isn't just a temporary phase, Léa. It's a responsibility. Our daughter needs you, especially now. And what about me, Damien? Don't I also need to exist beyond motherhood? If I let this opportunity pass, I don't know when another one will come along." A silence settled between them. Damien got up and took a few steps around the living room before turning back to his wife. "So, what you're saying is that your job is more important than our daughter?" "No, not at all," she protested, visibly hurt by his accusation. "I just want to find a balance between my career and my role as a mother. Why should I have to choose one over the other?" Damien crossed his arms, searching for the right words. "Because sometimes sacrifices have to be made, Léa. You can't have everything at the same time." She shook her head, refusing to accept that idea. "That's exactly what I want to avoid. I refuse to be a woman who wakes up 20 years from now regretting not having seized her chances. And what if this decision puts our daughter in danger?" he asked, his voice calmer but filled with concern. She sighed. "I found a solution. A neighbor recommended a trustworthy nanny. Her name is Aisha, and she has worked with several families before." Damien looked at her for a long moment, weighing the arguments. He didn't like the idea, but he knew that opposing it too firmly might create a rift between them. He loved his wife and respected her ambition, even though he feared for their child. "All right. But if at any point I feel that something is wrong, I want us to reconsider this decision." Léa nodded. "Agreed. Let's give it a try." But neither of them could have imagined that this choice would plunge their family into an unfathomable nightmare. A few days later, Aisha arrived at their house in the late afternoon. She wore a simple dress in neutral tones and a neatly adjusted scarf, partly covering her face with its delicate features. Her gaze was evasive, as if she feared crossing eyes with Damien, who was observing her attentively. Léa, full of enthusiasm, gave her a tour of the house while explaining the tasks that would be her responsibility. Aisha nodded silently, asking only a few rare questions in a voice so faint it seemed almost to fade away. Naïa, settled in her crib, watched the newcomer with curiosity, gently swinging her chubby arms. "You'll be like an older sister to Naïa," Léa said with a warm smile, trying to make her feel at ease. Aisha responded with a slight nod, a barely noticeable smile. The first few days passed without any apparent incidents. Aisha carried out her tasks with diligence and discretion. She woke up before everyone else, prepared the meals, and watched over Naïa with meticulous care. Yet, something eluded Damien. He noticed that she never spoke more than necessary, that she carefully avoided his gaze, and that she always seemed to be on edge. Was it simply shyness, or was she hiding something? One evening, while returning home early from work, he found Aisha in Naïa's room, humming a strange melody. Her soft and almost incantatory voice rose in the air, creating a peculiar atmosphere in the room. When she realized he was there, she abruptly stopped, immediately lowering her eyes. "Were you singing to her?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "Yes, sir." Just to calm her, she murmured, not daring to look at him. Damien didn't say anything, but his instinct told him to remain vigilant. Days passed, and while Léa seemed pleased with her choice, Damien couldn't shake a slight sense of unease. He knew something was wrong, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Then, slowly, the nightmare began. Naïa, once a lively baby, began to wither. Her joyful laughter gradually faded. She cried more often, sometimes refused her milk, and her sleep became restless. Her body, once chubby, grew thin and fragile, and her once sparkling eyes dulled. Léa and Damien watched these changes with growing concern. "It's probably just a little infection. It happens to babies," reassured the pediatrician, though without offering any truly convincing explanations. But the weeks passed, and Naïa's condition worsened. She no longer played, became lethargic, and even pushed away her mother's comforting arms. Dark purple circles now marked her youthful face. Nights became a nightmare. Naïa cried for no apparent reason, her small body shaking with distress. Léa, exhausted, spent hours trying to calm her, while Damien, consumed by helplessness, searched endlessly on medical forums. But nothing seemed to explain the cause of this sudden decline. Finally, with her condition worsening alarmingly, the parents decided to consult a specialist. The hospital filled them with a mixture of hope and fear. After a series of thorough tests, the verdict came down like a guillotine. Their daughter was HIV positive. Damien and Léa were devastated. Confusion was written across their faces. "This isn't possible. We're both healthy," exclaimed Damien, his throat tight. The doctor shrugged, powerless in the face of their distress. "The tests are conclusive. We'll need to explore other possibilities." The couple spiraled into a whirlwind of anxiety and doubt. How could their daughter have contracted this virus? What invisible flaw had slipped past them? Léa searched her mind, replaying every detail of their daily life. What if the solution had been under their noses all along? Doubt crept into their home like poison, infiltrating every conversation, every glance. Damien couldn't sleep, and Léa spent hours watching their daughter, looking for a clue, a sign. Then one day, an idea blossomed in Damien's mind, a cold and relentless intuition. "Let's install cameras. We need to know what's happening when we're not here." Léa hesitated. Was it an overreaction? but the distress on her husband's face convinced her. A few days later, they discreetly installed cameras in the house. And what they discovered was far worse than anything they could have imagined. The cameras were discreetly placed in the living room, the kitchen, and Naïa's bedroom. Every evening, after work, Damien and Léa anxiously reviewed the footage. The first day, nothing seemed suspicious. Aisha cared for Naïa with apparent gentleness, following the routines set by Léa. But on the second day, their nightmare took shape. On the screen, Aisha glanced around furtively before preparing the child's meal. Then, in a swift and practiced motion, she pulled a small bag from beneath her clothes and methodically poured a vile mixture into Naïa's bottle. Her movements were precise, those of someone well-versed in this abominable ritual. Damien felt his blood run cold. Léa, trembling, covered her mouth, suppressing a scream. They continued watching, their hearts pounding. On the video, Aisha muttered incantations as she poured a dark liquid into their child's food. Later analysis would reveal that it was a blend of urine, excrement, and contaminated human blood. Léa let out a cry of distress, realizing the horror that had unfolded under their roof. Damien felt an uncontrollable rage build inside him. He jumped to his feet, nearly knocking over the table. "This is impossible. How could I have let this happen?" he shouted, his voice breaking with anger and guilt. Without hesitation, they immediately alerted the police. The response was swift. Aisha was arrested before their eyes, showing no emotion, as if she knew her time had come. During her interrogation, she confessed without a trace of remorse. "I am part of a group. We steal children's luck and offer it in exchange for prosperity." Her words sent chills down the couple's spine. How could such monstrosity exist? Naïa, their precious daughter, had been nothing more than a pawn in a macabre game, a sacrificial offering to satisfy the greed of invisible forces. The days that followed were a long tunnel of pain and guilt. Léa was tormented, replaying her choices over and over. "If I had stayed, if I hadn't hired that girl," she repeated, tears streaming endlessly down her face, hollowed by anxiety. But the damage was done. Now, all that remained was to fight, to give Naïa the best possible life despite the indelible mark left by this tragedy. This ordeal raised a painful question, one every parent should ask themselves. How far should one go to balance ambition and parental responsibility? Because sometimes, in the pursuit of success, one may unknowingly open the door to unimaginable darkness. And that's it. We've reached the end of this amazing story. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and share the video. We would also love to hear your thoughts on the question posed. Asterisk, the dilemma between taking care of your family and having a successful career. Asterisk, share your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.